Hi, welcome to In a Pickle Knitting and another episode of Some Bunny Loves You. My name is Donna. I'm coming to you from Manassas, Virginia in the U.S. And today is Monday, April 6th, 2020. I have today a bunny-related craft and a bunny-related children's literature book. I normally start with the craft, but today I am going to start with the book because while normally I hold up a print book for you, today I'm showing you one that is on my Kindle. It is of course available in book form, but was one that I had on hold from the library, and our libraries have closed, so I can't pick that up. So I'm going to share that with you via my Kindle, and it's actually not my Kindle, it's my husband's, and I didn't want it to go out because I'm not sure I know the password. He turned it on for me. So our book today is called Oh, you're not going to get a good picture. My Friend Rabbit by Eric Roman. And this is a Caldecott Medal winner. And it is the story of a rabbit and his friend who's a little mouse. The thing about rabbit is, my friend rabbit means well. How can I get it good? There, that's a little better. My friend rabbit means well. But wherever he goes, whatever he does, or that's probably the wrong order, you can see there, trouble follows. But rabbit always has a solution for the problems, but they're not always really a solution. This is a cute story about the troubles that this pair of friends gets into. It's fairly short. As you can see, there was a lot of illustration and richly colored illustrations, and children really do enjoy it. It is probably for preschoolers through kindergarten or first grade, or young readers who are learning to read. This is maybe an approachable book, while the vocabulary may be a little difficult for the first time for young readers. If you've read this book to them previously, it doesn't have so much text that it overwhelms. So perhaps that's a good choice for those readers too. So that's our book for today, My Friend Rabbit. The craft for today is of course a bunny, or bunny related. This one is a bunny. And I created this by looking at a Pinterest pin. It is made from a square of knitted fabric. So to create the square of knitted fabric, I wanted to use, I used worsted weight. I used some leftover cotton dishcloth yarn that I have. It's 100% cotton. It's the sugar and cream yarn in a yellow color. I cast on 38 stitches. I used a size 7 needle, and I knit garter stitch until I got to having a square, an 8x8 square. And of course you can always tell that because if you've got your knitting here, if you fold it up this way, when the corners all meet, when you get a good diagonal there, then you've reached your desired length to have it, to make a square. So I did that. I also, as I was knitting, on each first stitch of each row that I did, I slipped the first stitch purlwise and then just knit across, and then turned and slipped the first stitch purlwise and knit across again. So this gave me an edge that resembles the cast on edge and your bind off edge with the V's, instead of having bumps. With garter stitch, if you didn't do that, you get bumps along the edge, which is fine, and it would have been fine for this, absolutely, but I just wanted a better edge, so I chose to do that. So I did a bind off and ended up with a square, and I think I have some pictures here. So starting with a square, and then you're going to use some yarn. Now I used the same yarn for this, but at one point I was pulling and it broke, so I had to start over again with this next step. So I don't know if maybe a stronger thread would work, perhaps even threading ribbon through would have worked. I went ahead with the yarn because it's what I was doing, but you're going to find the middle, and you're going to take some large, just with your tapestry needle, threaded in and out running stitch straight across, and then back up to the center and back down to your starting place to make a triangle. And I'll show that here. Hopefully I've been able to edit the picture so that you can see the stitching since it's the same color yarn. I then took some stuffing and put it in the center of the triangle, and then you pull tight, and that's where I broke the yarn the one time. You pull, and at this point you've now made the head and the ears. You've got an open back, which you're going to stuff and stitch up. There's two different ways, well, different ways of stitching. There's lots of ways, but after stitching straight across the back seam, you're going to have an opening, and that's the point that you would, I stuffed. At this point, you could take a running stitch around the edge and pull it tight the way you might pull the top of a hat, or just to pull it closed that way. But I did something different. Instead, I folded the center top seam down and did straight across, because that made, and then sewed a pom-pom on for a bunny tail, which of course you could have made a pom-pom out of your yarn, and that way it kind of looks like legs. So I'll show you what it turns out like. I have not embroidered a face on yet. I'm actually toying with, do I want to do that or not? I think he's kind of cute without it, but you can embroider or put two little eyes and a little nose and some whiskers on there. But you see, these are the corners of, two corners from the dishcloth, which is what it would be. This would make a great dishcloth, and part of me is saying take it apart and use it as a dishcloth. But you can see my stuffing in there. I didn't want to pull too tight just because I was afraid of that yarn breaking again. I didn't want to have to rethread it. Here's the back. So what I did was I made it like it's little legs here, but instead you could have just taken a running stitch and pulled it tight, and it just would have been a little tighter leg back here. I sewed on a pre-made pom-pom that I happened to have that was, I thought, a good size for this. But I thought this could be fun to play with, put in an Easter basket, especially if I put a face on it. And it's also, take it apart and use it for something else, because it's really not put together, it's just put together with some stitching along here. This is where I sewed the back, sewed the legs. And you can see this is why I wanted to keep the edges cleaner. So this is probably cast on or cast off edge, but this is one of these side edges. So it gave a little bit nicer look, I thought, than the pearl bumps that you would normally have along the edges. So that's the craft today. I saw this on Pinterest, and I will put a picture of the post up here. There's a quick little, you can go to the site and read the directions. There's also video that shows you how to do it, and the video, I think, actually tells you how to cast on or something, even to that point, not just to take the square. But I was thinking, I think if you did a single crochet, I think it would be, you could crochet the square, right? And do the same thing. And I also was thinking last night that you could take two pieces of fabric, and if they're different colors, you would get a different color inside the ear here. And you could just make the square and do the exact same thing. You'd, just with thread instead. That would be really fast, because sewing, you wouldn't have to first knit the square. You could just cut it out, stitch up the side seams, and go from there. So I'm tempted to try that with some fabric, because it would really, you could make some really cute little bunnies using the same pattern. So let's see what else I have for today. I just I don't normally share the things that I buy, but I'm always been a fan of the Cozy Knitter from Canada. I've made so many of her so many socks from her yarns, and I have before been in the Yarn of the Month Club, and I'm in it again while I'm trying not to buy yarn this year unless I absolutely need it for this project, not just buying because I love it and it's gorgeous. But I just decided to participate in this, and I just got the most recent one. This is called Wildest Dreams. This is the March Yarn of the Month 2020. Is that going to make some beautiful striped socks? And I love her yarns. I like the weight of the yarn. It's just ever slightly more substantial than some fingering weight yarns, so I feel like it makes a nice pair of socks that are pretty. You don't have to knit quite as tightly to get a really tight gauge. I don't know, I just like it. Her stripe patterns are beautiful, and if you can buy it where you have an 85-gram skein of the self-striping yarn, and you definitely don't need more than that to make a normal pair of socks anyway, but then the 30-gram mini skein, so you can do heels, cuffs, and toes with the contrast. So I really like the Cozy Knitters yarns, and just thought I'd share it. First, it was a happy mail day. I thought I'd share my happy mail day with you, and I know I don't normally do a whole lot of that. So I think that's all that I have for today, and I hope you're doing well, staying safe, staying healthy, following the guidelines that have been set forth to keep us all healthy, and that I see you back again really soon. Bye-bye.